Okay, elbow flexion. All right, so remember, she's at the edge of the table. She's not with her arm on the table. All right, and all she's going to do is this movement. So I demonstrated so she knows. I'm going to stabilize and palpate, right? So all we're going to do is palpate the biceps right here. Yeah, do that for me, please. There we go. So we know it's at least a 3. Do I have to palpate on a 3+?
No.
No. So it's on against the side. She's not in flexion. She's not holding it out to the side. She's relaxed there. I'm going to stabilize. I'm pressing distally down. Right? So I'm not doing, the water pump. Right? Here we go. 3 + 4, 5. All right. Now she's going to come over here. All right. So what she's going to do is, all right, she's going to do this movement now. All right. I'm just going to stabilize her once again. Just square off. Right. All right. So there. And I want her arm so that it's not, externally rotated. I have her so that's like this, and she's in neutral, because that would be the same day which should be over here. So she's in this position neutral, and she's going to come this way. I'm just going to hold her here and palpate. It's okay. All right, so now go ahead and do the movement, and that's it. All right, everybody understands. So she's not up like this all the way, because that would be she's like this. All right, so she's in neutral. So that would be a 2 and a 1. 4, extension. That's going to be supine. Come over here because they'll break my rule that I keep telling them. And they'll be yelling at me. All right, supine.
Oh, supine.
Okay, so now with this one here, right, so she's going to be in this position, and that's the movement. Okay? So all I'm going to do is palpate her triceps and stabilize her arm. Right? So I'm going to be stabilizing here so she's not doing any movement, and I want to make sure she's in the plane. She's not, abducted. All right, so go ahead, do that movement for me. All right, so there would be a 3. Now, with this here, all she's going to do, she's got to be in this position here, right, in the supinated position when she was doing it. So if she wasn't doing that, just delete that from your video. All right, so here we go. So it should be, once again, do it this way, right? It should be that way. So now all I'm going to do is apply resistance here. All I'm doing is holding her on, because what she's going to want to do is to go into extension, because the long head also does extension. All right, so now I'm not, I'm not going to have it all the way down. I'm having a little, midway, almost like 90 degrees over here. All right, so I'm going to apply distally over the wrist, push up, 3 + 4, 5. All right, take a seat. Okay, just go in a little bit more, good. So now she's going to be in the flexed position, right? And she's in the thumb up neutral position here, and all she's going to do is that movement, like that. So I'm going to stabilize it here. Go ahead, do that movement, right, and making sure that she's not doing anything else. Okay? Let's see. We're going to do supination now. So you're going to sit on the edge. All right, so with the supinated position, she's going to start in pronation. This is the movement that she's going to do. So, what can I palpate? We said we could do the supinator. Or we could do the biceps tendon. You're not going to feel too much in the, you can feel the biceps, but it's a little bit hard. But if you go down to tendon, because that's how we did it when we learned palpation, right? So I'm going to stabilize her and let her know that this is the movement to do. So I can go in here. I'm just going to do this for 1 second so I can get into there. I can actually feel the biceps tendon and the supinator. All right, so go ahead and do that. There we go. Now I'm going to go ahead and do resistance. So I have to stabilize her, and I have to grasp her wrist. So I'm not going to have her in full pronation, because it's very hard to get out of that position. So I'll have her slightly out of that position. I'm going to hold this like this, adduct the arm, stabilizer, and go outside. Good, right? And I'm on her forearm. I'm not on her hand.
I found that when you have smaller hands, they had a hard time
Yeah,
yesterday
it's
doing
spinning
it.
in there.
So I tend to use like a lumbrical grasp, just like this. It doesn't go completely around.
Show them on me. 'Cause I'm
Okay, so are you doing supination?
right,
Resistance.
So go ahead.
Let's see which way it is. Go ahead.
Was I doing that?
No, you were going. It's,
Oh, okay.
it's
So
easier
rather
for you
than-
because you have bigger hands.
Okay, right, okay, I see what you're saying. So rather than she can't, like her hands can't fit all the way around, so trying to close the fingers, she's saying that she found it better if you just have that flat, straight grip like this. Okay? And then now for a, right, the 2, right? So she's in this neutral position. She's, we're doing pronation, supination, right? So that means the palm's got to be this way. So don't get confused and start this way. All right? So she's in pronation to do supination. So I'm going to stabilize her here like this, so I can keep my arm under here to kind of like support her. And this will also stabilize her, rather than if I just do this. I mean I could, but it's a little harder to go ahead and palpate, right? To get my hand around there. So if I just cup the elbow, place my hand there, yeah, do it, and now I can feel the contraction. Right, so this is how I have her arm. All right, so that would be, are you gonna stay there? That's supination. Now we're just gonna go into pronation. So we're just gonna kind of basically reverse everything. So she's gonna be in this position, she's gonna do that movement, and I'm gonna go ahead and palpate the pronator teres. So it's gonna attach over here to the common, it's gonna go through the common flexor tendon at the medial epicondyle. So I'm gonna palpate there, and just stabilize her. Go ahead, do that, and that's it. Now I'm going to move up to 3 plus 4 and 5. So all I'm going to do, she's going to be slightly out of that supinated position. I'm going to stabilize her. Go ahead, do that for me. Okay, and I'm going to turn this way and resist. So 3 plus 4 and 5. Now we're going to go ahead and do have it in the supinated position for the pronated movement. Right, I have her stabilized this way. Palpate on the medial side where the pronator teres would be. Do that movement. And that's it right there. Is there anything? Oh, we did wrist flexion. Okay. So, yeah. Okay, so wrist flexion. Now the person is a little uncomfortable because of their height. Too bad. No. What you do is you could take the pad away. All right. So let's just do that so they can at least see how it looks. But then you'd have to do one other thing. So if we have the pad, that drops it down a good, inch or so. Right? If you have a child's booster seat, that could come in handy also. Right? So, but you have to be careful because I would want a towel or something under here. Because I'm pressing down on her arm, it's going to be maybe uncomfortable with this table like this. All right? So I would just put, just a towel. Does anybody have just a... Nobody's got their towel? Nobody's going to the beach today at all? Okay, so we'll make believe she's got a towel down there, right? So it's just a little bit more comfortable. So I'm just going to go ahead and stabilize this, and that's the movement. All right, everybody follows? So now I have to palpate the flexor carpi. Just do a resistance to me. There's the flexor carpi radialis, and there's the ulnaris. All right, so now I'm not doing any resistance. So I have to get my hand out of the way so that she's not coming in and hitting my hand. So all I'm going to do is do the movement, and I go out of the way.
Do you have to palpate both? Can you just palpate one?
Well, because what can happen then is she may have some deviation, not have much strength in there. Now, some books separate it out. They don't even do this movement. They do flexion with radial deviation, then they do flexion with ulnar deviation. Right? That's how they do it. So we're not doing it that way. So there's other methods of doing these things, but I'm palpating both tendons, and I'm just making sure my hand's out of the way. If I want, I can try to do it this way also, right? So my hand is out of the way, but I'm on this side. I don't want to be kind of like, over here. This is awkward then. All right? We're good? All right, so that's now I'm going to do resistance. So I'm going to palpate. Now I'm not going to be over here because there's going to be a tendency for her to lift her arm up. So I want to have it over here. All I'm going to do is place resistance, and she's going to do that movement. Go ahead, and I'm keeping it flat. So that's 3 plus 4, 5. All right, if she starts to lift up her elbow like that, well then maybe I'd move my hand down there. And then for turn this way so they can see. Let's do it this way. They'll be able to see it easier this way. So now what we're going to do is she's going to do gravity eliminated in this position. So it does, we have to palpate the tendons. So all I'm going to do is palpate those tendons again, like I did before. So I'll just say I'm on the tendons. I'm going to stabilize. Go ahead, and I have to make sure my hand is coming out of the way when she's doing it. All right, so let's do extension here also. All right, so now with extension, we're just going to have them do that movement, and I'm going to palpate. Do this with your thumb. So there's her extensor pollicis. So the tendons, the longus and brevis pass under here, and they come out over here. So I could place one finger right there, and I could feel her extensor carpi ulnaris over here. All right. So now I'm using my hand to palpate and to stabilize. All right? If I want, I can put an extra one over here. So go ahead, do that for me. All right? And I can feel those movements, the tendons. Now, if I'm going to go ahead and apply resistance, right? So I'd be, this is where I would be. I did that. So I could be over here. I'd probably be this way, right? So because otherwise, a lot of times you can't see. So I wouldn't do it from that. I would do it right from this position. Everybody follows? So I wouldn't be sitting. I generally wouldn't sit and do it like this because it's like an awkward position. So if I was going to do that, just that 3 that I just demonstrated, I would be here. But a lot of you guys, they wouldn't see anything. So now I'm going to do 3 plus 4 and 5. So the same thing. She's going to do this movement. I'm holding her, and I'm going to place my hand over here. I'm not on her fingers. I'm on her whole hand. I'm not squeezing her hand like this. I can just use the open hand and push down 3 plus 4 and 5. For gravity eliminated, I can go ahead and have her like this. Do your wrist extension. Get the tendons. I have the tendons here. Now go ahead, go into extension and palpate them just like that. All right, we're good? All righty.